There we go. All right, we are live, or we
Now,
will be any second now.
I see it. It says live.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pull it up in my videos.
This light is blasting me. Oh, all right.
Hang on. Oh,
What's up?
hang on.
I'm gonna move this.
There we go. I see. Maybe.
The only weird thing with my iPad is that it looks like I'm looking like off center.
Yeah,
But
no. This is not a professional endeavor whatsoever. That rhymed.
I liked it.
All right. All right. We're live.
Cool beans.
Hello. I'm posting the link on my Twitter.
I
Welcome
see.
to the fourth episode of A Single Man Tier.
Oh God, I'm so sorry. I do that every single time.
Yeah, I usually do too. I'm surprised I didn't this time. It's been a few weeks, you guys. I had to take some time off for Phoenix Con, which was a blast. And also just sometimes I can't be bothered, which is how you know I am totes profesh.
Just profesh. No, word. I feel you on that.
This week, I'm bringing back a guest who's actually on, I think, the first episode. Julia.
Hey.
She's my bud.
I have no voice this week, so
yeah,
you're gonna have to bear with me.
This may be a shorter episode because I've told her that if her voice gets tired, then we're wrapping it up. This week on the podcast, we're discussing the first episode of the Supernatural animated series.
Which I didn't even know existed.
I've known it existed for a while, but it's always just been on like the outside of my sphere. Like I've never messed with it before now. The only reason I know that it existed is because when I first started watching Supernatural, I was illegally streaming it, and so I would search Supernatural on the site and it would pull up both the CW series and then the animated series. So I knew it was there, but I've never clicked it because frankly the idea seems weird to me.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that my opinion has changed.
No, I don't even know what my initial opinion was because I was just like, what? They did not even get. I'm sorry. Okay, so my first question is, why does Dean have gray black hair?
Nothing about this version of Dean is recognizable.
No,
this is not the same character. It's like everything bad about him from the early seasons just taken to the extreme, and you don't even get Jensen Ackles.
No, I saw Jared Padalecki come up on the credits for like the English voice by Jared Padalecki, and I was like, cool. I was waiting. There was no Jensen Ackles. I was like, who's this other guy?
Apparently, the first 20 episodes are voiced by someone else whose name I have not bothered to look up. And then Jensen is only there for the last 2 episodes of the series due to scheduling.
Such a diva.
Yeah, right? I have no idea when the series came out. I did no research. All I know is that Jared is in it. And my main takeaway from this episode is that that is not Dean Winchester.
No, not at all. The whole episode, I was like,
I don't know who you are. You need to get out of the car because I need to get Sam away from you.
I mean, it took me out of it. There was a lot of elements to it that I was like, okay, well, the imagery with Baby, and you know, they definitely put a lot of work into making it seem true to the show in certain respects. But the fact that it wasn't even like one iota like Dean Winchester, I'm sorry, it was not even a close.
It
He had a quilted jacket on. I was like, who wears a quilted leather jacket? Excuse me. It's not close.
I think it had some good, I think the animation was good. I think some of the horror imagery was good.
Mm-hmm. The slasher bit in the very beginning. I was like, that actually that reminds me of the original show where the female character gets murdered within the first few minutes of the show.
Yeah, the
excuse me.
There was definitely a moment the first 5 minutes of the show, or not even 5 minutes, like the first 30 seconds of the episode, because it's a 20-minute episode. Mm-hmm. But the first 30 seconds or so, the cold open is the scene where the shifter actually kills the victim. This is, for anyone listening, this episode, The Alter Ego, is based on the episode Shifter. It's very loosely based on it. It's the same basic premise, the boy's son is shapeshifter, but the plot is different. The characters are different. And the cold open, the episode starts with the shifter killing a guy's girlfriend. And I was definitely uncomfortable there for the first 30 seconds. I was like, she's being heavily objectified right now. And oh yeah, that happened in Shifter. So it's just that I'm more used to the imagery from the Supernatural episode because I've watched it 8 million times. And this is just a new version of it that's honestly scarier. I think they did a better job with the horror elements in at least in terms of, I was actually, the introduction of the shifter as a character was creepier than it was in.
It was a little bit more insidious. Yeah. Before it was more of like a whodunit at first. Yeah. It was more of like the mystery that they were playing off of rather than it's, oh shit, he's hacking somebody up.
And it was definitely more in the original show, more of an introductory episode into Sam and into the brothers' relationship and tension with each other. And that was still very early on when they were still setting up who these characters were. What's interesting about that, though, is that this is the first episode of this particular series telling this story, and there is none of that in this episode. There is no setting up who the characters are. There's no dealing. They and like emotional turmoil between the two brothers that the episode is supposed to be exploring doesn't come up until towards the very, very end of the episode. And it's so abrupt. It's like, oh, the episode's about this now. Okay.
This is the portion where we're talking about our feelings.
I didn't see that coming.
It's not woven in like it normally is with the subtext on the show. I noticed that too. That was funny to me. I was like, go with the action. And then all of a sudden they're just like,
we're doing this now. Okay. And honestly, most of the episode was like that. Most of it was like, okay, this is happening now. Like the scene where Dean goes to the policewoman's apartment, and it's not clear whether Dean is Dean or the shifter.
Right.
And then they're just having like a conversation, and then she like drops her beer and pulls her gun on him. And she's like, I looked you up in our system. There is no Texas Marshal, Dean, whoever. And first of all,
I thought I missed something. I was like, what?
First of all, why did you let him into your apartment?
Yeah.
He's been openly creeping on you throughout the entire episode. Dean is a perv in this version. I mean, he's always been kind of a perv, but like
there were the redeeming qualities of Jensen Ackles before, where you're like, okay, to a certain respect.
The redeeming qualities of Dean Winchester, where like it's established that all of this is just a front for the fact that he's like actually hurting and young and scared and trying to be a good big brother and doesn't know how to do any of that.
Yes,
like Dean Winchester has this established full character where he's like, yeah, he's a flirt and he's, always trying to get with girls, especially in the earlier seasons. And that can be annoying or attractive depending on what kind of character you're into. But besides that, he has this very deep, like, inner layer where he's just very emotional and very sensitive and very worried about everyone. All these different sympathetic character traits. And this episode is 20 minutes of Dean just, like, looking at the girl's butt.
Yeah, you didn't earn that, whoever you are.
Backing her into a door frame to be like, now that I've saved your life, you have to go on a date with me, because he bandaged a cut on her finger. That's not Dean Winchester.
No.
I don't know who that is.
There's a little more finesse. I mean, yeah, he's pretty blatant sometimes about what he wants, but he'll at least use some, showmanship.
And he doesn't physically back strange women into corners.
No.
That's not a thing he does. He might, openly flirt with them. Especially, one of my least favorite things is when he openly flirts with women who are on the job. Like, you shouldn't do that. But at the same time, it's still charming because he's not intentionally trying to cross boundaries.
He just doesn't know any better, and you can tell that from the character.
Yeah, it's just what he knows. Has no idea how to be professional.
Yeah, he grew up seeing women in restaurants and in truck stops and what have you. So I'm sure he picked up some bad habits along the way. I'm constantly making excuses for this character, but
him too. I make so many excuses for, but this was a different thing. This was like, there was no lovableness to this Dean. And it didn't have
predatory, if we're being honest.
It was very predatory. There's literally a shot. There's two different shots where the camera pans up this female character's butt. And both times Dean's like smirking, making noises.
Not
yeah, the alter Dean.
Yeah.
It was both hilarious and frustrating because I went into it expecting Jensen because I knew Jared was in it.
Yeah.
And so I went into it like, oh, Jensen and Jared did the voices for this other show, and it's going to be really funny, and they're going to be like anime sound effects. Right. And instead it was like, oh, now I just have to put up with this character who has no redeeming qualities, including like an actor that I know and love.
Yeah. It had been a while for me, honestly, too, since I had watched any kind of anime film. Mm-hmm. So it was
it's like a weird transition.
Yeah, it was jarring to kind of see them in that animated sense, but then also with like that the Japanimation camera shake when things are like tense. I was just like, okay.
And what was really funny was hearing Jared make the like anime noises.
Yeah. I mean, he did a great job. I do have to.
He did so good.
His voice acting is pretty excellent. If I'm being,
he did too good. He was putting too much effort into this.
Yeah.
There were multiple times throughout the episode where I was like, "Honey, you don't have to try this hard.
No,
the show's not good enough for you."
But Jared Padalecki doesn't have like degrees. He has an on and off.
He's so earnest all the time. Yeah. Sam was actually, as a Sam girl, I was satisfied. I thought
as a Dean girl, I was not.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine. As a Sam girl, I was satisfied with the portrayal of my favorite character. Jared obviously did great, but they wrote him pretty well. There were no significant like character deviancies. It was, and most of his time throughout the episode was him being like, Dean, stop. So I felt vindicated. Because that's also what I was saying.
Right. The likeness was pretty good on his end too. I'm like, how did you get so off with Dino?
That's not Dean's hair color. That's not.
Eye color.
They got both eye colors wrong. That was a weird thing to nitpick about. But you know what? It was disappointing in other ways, so I'm allowed to nitpick too.
Yeah, 13 years, we've kind of gotten used to the way these people look. So
yeah, I know what Dean Winchester looks like, okay? He looks like that.
Yes, he does.
Not like... he was so, like, physically nondescript.
Yeah.
And it was the voice actor was clearly trying really hard to sound like Jensen Ackles.
It was a type, yeah.
It may have been like they hired a really great professional voice actor who's like really well known. I know nothing about voice actors. All I know was that there was clearly they were like, well, we couldn't get Jensen Ackles, so try really hard to sound like Jensen Ackles.
Right.
And so it's all the like where you the sort of the Jensen does it too, where he pushes the Dean voice just too far.
The growls a little bit.
That's one of my season 10, the first like the Dean Mun episodes. The Dean voice is just, it's too much. Like, just chill. And
see,
that
I liked it, but that's because, I mean, it was just more, and that's okay with me.
More of what you're already into. Yeah.
It was just exemplified.
Yeah, for me it was just laying it on a little thick. And this episode was definitely that. The Dean voice acting was just a little much. Like, we know you're not Jensen Ackles. You can just say the lines. You don't have to. Just don't. You don't have to try so hard. That was most of the voice acting for the episode was just like, you don't have to try this hard. He doesn't deserve this.
No. The animation was, I think, good. I don't know from anime enough to say that it was great.
Yeah.
Somebody else, obviously more qualified, can make that claim, but I think that it was effective, the imagery that they used.
Yeah.
So
the animation was decent, and honestly, the shifter reveal scene where he goes down into the dungeon and changes. They took that obviously straight from the original episode. Both episodes have a scene where the shifter's in the sewers changing.
Yeah.
And in this version, it was way more like surrealist horror. Like,
I dug that for sure.
That was really cool. I was like, oh, okay, I'm into this. I'm into like the green fingers. Himself.
Yeah.
He like balloons out, and then like you see rock hard Dean Winchester abs, and then these green fingers like poke through the skin. It was super like gory and graphic and gross, which is like,
but I like it.
That's my shit. And I mean, it was
like, ew.
I'm here for this. If the whole episode had been more focused on like the gross slimy parts of the horror aspects that the original show doesn't always show us, I would have been way more here for it.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking actually closer to the end when they were wrapping up the episode, that they could certainly, because over the years they've obviously gotten away from the episode, like the monster of the week type episodes. Mm-hmm. And that's great because I mean, for some of the seasons anyway, I did enjoy like the overreaching arc storylines, but they could probably get away with an anime series or some sort of other animated series that dealt with just the monster of the week type episodes.
Yeah, I was,
and they could go like gory with it. They could go really weird with it.
Totally, because it's anime. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah,
I was hoping that, because at first they weren't calling it a shapeshifter, they kept calling it a doppelganger.
Yeah,
and so I was like, ooh, maybe this is like a new, like different cultural approach to a similar myth. I thought there's shapeshifter myths all over the world, so it would have been really cool to like see the same kind of story of Sam and Dean hunting this monster, but it's like the Japanese version of the shapeshifter myth. I thought that was kind of what they were going for, and it would have been really cool to see that. Cooler than just like, here's these same exact scenes from the original episode, except Dean is predatory, and Sam is just kind of a little bit bland. And sometimes you get cool imagery. Like, there is definitely potential here that didn't get met. And instead we get scenes of Dean, like, bandaging a woman's paper cut and being like, now that you owe me your life, Let's go on
Gosh.
a date.
I hated that Dean.
You're on the job right now, you professional police officer.
So
now is the time.
Maintain a certain level of decorum and not punch me in the face. So I'm going to say whatever I want to you.
Now is the time. Honestly, because here's what makes Dean like a lovable character. It's, yes, he's a flirt. He's not a predator. No. He flirts sometimes at inappropriate times, but with women who are clearly into it. At least in the earlier seasons, there's been some incontinuity with that in the more recent seasons. But in the earlier seasons, when he's flirting with women who are clearly into it. Yeah. Like openly flirting with him back.
I mean, I think they knew well enough to cover their asses and made that an intentional thing. I'm sure that's what it was.
I hope so.
In your character development of Dean Winchester, do you actually want him to hit on people who are not into it?
No. And here's the thing. It's obvious why they're into him. It's because he's a charming, handsome guy, mysterious stranger who's clearly into them. Like, I'm gay and I'd be flattered and a little bit into that. Like, he's charming and he's kind and he like has things to say. He can like have a conversation that's not just like, well, hey there. He like multiple times throughout the first season, we see him having actual conversations where he's asking the girls about themselves and like, what's going on with you?
He can change gears is what it's the thing is.
Yeah.
I don't mind a guy who can be lewd sometimes. My husband's sitting right there. He's one of them. But as long as you've got some other things going on and you can kind of switch it up.
Yeah.
You know,
like,
that kind of thing.
As long as you're something besides the guy who wants to screw every woman on the clock that you come in contact with.
Right.
It was just too much. It was laying it on so thick. I'm really interested to see how stagnant the characters are throughout multiple episodes. Because is this going to be a really inconsistent character dynamic? Is it going to be a really inconsistent relationship dynamic? Are they ever going to set up who these people are? That was so weird to me. They didn't take any time to set up, like, this is who these two characters are. This is what they're doing. This is what their motivations are. It was like, Sam was like, I feel like we need to look for Dad. Why? Who's their dad? Where is he? Why is he not there with him? Why does Sam want to find him so bad?
Dean is sure angry about him, but we don't know why.
Are we going to explain the weird nightmare flashback scenes at the beginning? Or is that just meant to be the explanation? Because it's not good enough. Like, I know the show. I know the character. I know what's going on.
Right.
But any random person off the street.
I missed again when these were released.
I did too. Let me look that up, actually.
Because I would imagine it's within the same time frame as when that first Shifter episode aired.
Well, I suspect if you saw the credit sequence, it has Dean on the car with like his leg up playing an air guitar solo. So I suspect it came out more around the season 3, season 4 era. Mm-hmm. Just because that's clearly from The Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah. That was the vibe I was getting, but I wasn't sure because they could have been just pulling from other seasons.
It came out from 2011. It came out 2011.
Okay. That had to have been a little bit after that.
Yeah.
They just were using the iconic scenes to get people, I think, probably.
Yeah, I'm sure it was, we got Jared Padalecki and hey, fan service, there's this scene that was lifted straight from the original.
Yeah.
But it was so frustrating.
I'm only gonna watch a few more episodes probably, unless of course I'm employed again to be on this program, in which case I will watch them all. But I am just curious actually if they're ever going to give Dean a personality above and beyond like a walking phallus. And also if he's going to change his hair color, because that's really bothersome to me.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody really knows what his hair color is, but it's certainly not gray, black.
It's not gray.
Yeah.
It's definitely not that. I'm interested to see that too. I'm wondering if I suspect they're probably going to do the Dean gets a love interest every episode. Because the thing is, in the original Shifter episode, it was way more about Sam and his relationship with Becky, who is not a love interest, who is just Sam's buddy, which was a really cool dynamic. And yeah, it was interesting to see another take on the same myth, like a different plot, but it wasn't necessary to change it from Sam deals with his past and thus we learn more about him as a character to we just really want to establish that Dean likes women's asses. We just really want to just hammer that in.
As long as we have set that foundation, the rest of the show will go smoothly.
Yeah.
That's the rock that we need for our show.
Yeah. And Sam was consistent character-wise. Like, it was like, this is a recognizable character. I know who this is. But he was definitely, like, backlogged. Like, this was his episode. And he kind of got shelved a little bit.
Yeah. And it makes me wonder if Jared Padalecki had any thoughts upon reading. I mean, I don't know if he's the type that just reads his part and just kind of, does the thing and then that's the end of it, or if he reads the whole script.
From what I've heard, he's talked a little bit about voice acting, and from all, like, my memory of hearing them talking about it was just that it was weird. Like, it was just acting for voice acting is a lot different than acting for, like, physical on camera acting, and that's mostly what he's talked about. So I think it was probably just a challenge because he's doing a different kind of acting that he hadn't really done before, which is super cool. I love that because he's voice acted again. Both he and Jensen have voice acted in other things. So it's cool that they've had that opportunity. I'm not sure that this Supernatural the anime seems very unnecessary.
Yeah, it is a bit superfluous. Like, I mean, it's not like I'm mad at it, but
I'm not mad that it exists. But if all you're gonna do with it is just be like, hey, here's this chauvinist pig to carry our story arcs. And
if they had
a blank slate for a brother.
If they had like blown it out of the water, and I mean, I'm not saying it had to be Jensen's voice, that would have helped, but at least gotten something that was closer to his
closer
character.
to human, closer to how humans talk.
Right.
That would have been helpful to not
Who's
take
in charge of this? I have some words for them.
That's not
my Dean Winchester.
That's not how humans speak.
No.
That's not. Can we talk about that last scene where they're in the car and what happened?
I don't know.
What was that?
I was waiting for you to say something that made any sense, but I'm glad that you were in the same boat, because I was like, Did he know that it wasn't Sam, or was he not sure?
How?
Or excuse
this
me,
is all very what was Sam doing on the side of the highway?
I was very, very shocked. I was like, I mean, it wasn't a jump scare necessarily, but it was just like, whoa.
It was. It was another one of those. Oh, this is happening now.
There's other Sam, and he just blew a hole through the car.
So I'm gonna walk through my memory of this scene.
Okay.
And you tell me what your thoughts are. So
I didn't have many, but
they've escaped the shapeshifter's clutches. Yes. Or no, they've escaped his lair. And they're in the Impala, and no. It's when they're at the apartment. They go to her apartment, and it turns out that she's the shifter, and Dean almost gets
through the.
Yeah, she through the ceiling, of course, and
that's normal.
Dean has to escape the police, and he finds Sam in an alley, and then they're in a car. They're in the Impala, and they're driving down the highway, and I'm still not sure what I'm about to say because I don't know what happened. They're just talking. They're just like, oh, I hate to think what the shifter's doing to that policewoman. Now that I don't remember her name at all. She was not important. Outside of being literally a body. But they're like, oh God, I hate to think what the shifter is doing to her. We just have to get back to the lair and tooth comb, I think is the line. And Sam is like, that's going to be really annoying. Yeah, Sam is like, that's going to be really annoying and hard work. And Dean's like, well, suck it up. And that's all that's said. That's all that's said. There's no indications of anything dramatic about to happen. And then Dean pulls a gun on Sam. Like Sam is looking at the map. It
was so.
This is how we get back to the lair.
I thought Dean was the shifter at first. I was like, oh shit, he's about to blow him away.
Because there was no indication that Sam was the shifter. There was no like suspicious eye flash or anything like that. It was just like they're talking, and now
Sam's not lazy. Dean is go back to the lair.
First of all, Sam's a freaking hero. I'm trying not to curse because my brother's in the other room. He's 14, but Sam's a hero, and he cares about people, and he's not just going to be like, oh, that's going to be so annoying to have to go save this person. But that's beside the point right now. We can talk. You're right. That's a good point. We can talk about that more in a second. But they're just talking. They're just chatting about the job. There's no indications of anything being weird. And then Dean pulls a gun so that
Dean maybe should like get some tension release or something because that was just.
Is Dean okay?
He's not okay. He's not.
Because I'm thinking. This is the shifter Dean, obviously, just screwing with Sam's mind again, and that's all that this is. But no, that's Dean. That's supposed to be Dean. That's the real guy, and Sam is over against the side door, against the passenger door, like freaking out, like it's me. I just burped. Sorry.
No, you're okay.
This is what podcasters do. He's like, no, it's me. There's a part where Dean is like driving the car with one hand, beating Sam up with the other hand. Sam, for some reason, is defenseless against this, even though his hands are free. And at one point, Dean like beats the crap out of Sam's face, and Sam is like literally cowering in the corner like this. And at this point, I'm like, wait, no, this is stressful. What is happening? How did this happen? What am I supposed to be thinking? Because there's no, like, all this is so out of nowhere.
I was not invested in this whatsoever. I was like, what is happening?
I was invested. Because Sam was really hurt.
Oh, well, yeah, of course that.
I have my priorities.
But it made so little sense that I was just kind of like squinting at the screen.
At some point, you have to emotionally check out and be like, so this is happening now. Oh, okay. What? That was definitely me for most of the episode, but this particular scene, I was like, oh, my boy's cowering in the corner with his hands over his face. I'm invested now. I'm here. This is not cool. I'm not here for this. Because I'm thinking that Dean is the shifter.
Right.
And then they're arguing. Right, Sam's like, you're the shifter. Dean's like, you're the shifter. You're the shifter. And then Sam runs up from a ditch on the side of the highway into oncoming traffic. And like highway traffic. Like this shit is nuts. And he runs in front of the Impala. It does not get run over by an inch. The car stops like an inch away from his knees, literally. The traffic is still moving around them. Nobody else notices that this car has just stopped in front of this guy in the middle of the highway. And he pulls out his gun and he shoots into the car. And nobody notices that either. Nobody's like, there's a guy with a gun in the middle of the highway.
Just
and
not worrying about any kind of swerving happening, you know?
No, there's no swerving. There's no traffic build up. There's just cars just racing past them on either side. Like, no big deal. He just shot a guy. And it turns out that this is the guy with the gun is the real Sam, and that the Sam in the car was the shifter, because plot twist?
Just because, yeah.
Just because plot twist? And
it makes you wonder who did they consult with on the Supernatural writer team, because they had to have probably.
Oh, yeah. I wonder how much overlap there is between the Supernatural animated series writers and the actual current writer staff.
Gee, but it's gonna be now.
It's close enough. But here's so nobody stops. This is what was getting me.
Nobody puts their horn on. Nobody freaks out. They're just like, cool. Somebody's murdered some man in a car and almost got hit.
Sam was in the car before they went to the lady's house. In the car with Dean. Dean went by himself to the apartment for some reason. At some point, Sam got out of the car and was wandering around at the same time that Shifter Sam was also wandering around. And then Dean and Shifter Sam, because this is logically what had to have happened. Dean and Shifter Sam got in the car, leaving real Sam behind. And then they got onto the freeway to go, like, I'm going to say, like, in America, freeways are like 60 to 80 miles an hour. So they're thereabouts, going real fast.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam walks.
He just knew. He just knew exactly where to walk out.
From the apartment to a ditch on the side of the freeway.
The more you talk about it, the less sense it makes.
He manages to get ahead of the Impala going 60 to 80 miles an hour so that he's able to run out into oncoming traffic, and he doesn't know who's driving. He doesn't know that Dean is driving.
No.
He doesn't know that Shifter Sam is in the passenger seat. He doesn't even know that Dean's alive at this point.
Right.
He just takes he stands in oncoming traffic, just pulls out his gun and shoots. And this is the point where I start to wonder if Sam is okay as a person, because none of those are the decisions of someone who wants to live or wants his family to live.
Right.
Because what if Dean had swerved in order to not run over his little brother in the middle of the highway? What if Dean had swerved slightly and Sam had shot and the bullet had hit Dean? What if there was no shifter in the car and Sam just shot a hole in the windshield and now Dean's mad at him?
So I'm left with two thoughts about that whole thing, especially after you recapped it. First of all, Sam's the best. He's so amazing.
He's a genius.
He just knew.
Superhuman.
Yeah, he just knew exactly the trajectory of. He must have done the math.
Yeah, he brought out a whiteboard and was like had his Sherlock Holmes moment where you could see like the numbers floating around his head. And
that's what I'm imagining.
I want to watch that version of the episode.
Yes.
My version of this episode is like so much better.
Yeah, so
because Sam's story is clearly so much more exciting because he's literally physically racing down the side of the highway.
I can't. Second of all, it makes you wonder what the country of Japan and the writers of this show happen to think of American hunters or what have you. They must just have like that shoot first, ask questions later thing, but like on a hyperdrive.
Yeah.
I don't think that they get the intricacies of like there needs to actually be a reason or like some logic behind it. They
No,
just have the whole.
it's all logic, Julia. Sam calculated this whole thing. He did the math on his whiteboard, and he knew that by probability exactly when to run into traffic so as not to be hit, and that Dean would stop short a centimeter in front of him and would not swerve or crash the car or anything. I'm amazed.
Yeah, he did this all within moments.
This is stellar. And the transition was so that last like 5 minutes or so was one like, oh, okay, oh, this is happening. Now this is happening after another. Like,
I wish I would have recorded my face watching it on another screen because it would have been pretty entertaining.
I know.
Kind of like,
it's fun to talk about afterwards, but I'm interested to see people's like in the moment reactions because this was a weird experience, y'all.
I might do that for the next one. Just kind of give a little bit of like an editorial.
Yeah, just like, okay, this is happening now. Because there was so much like I was talking to the episode. I kept having to pause and be like, wait, go back, go back, do that again. I don't understand. Because it wasn't just every transition was like, oh, we're here now.
We're doing that now. Okay.
All right. Like the first scene happens and you see this woman be brutally slaughtered and the music is really creepy and the camera angles are really creepy and it was really dramatic. And then it's like road trip music. We're in the Impala and it's real happy. And there's like 12 seconds of that. And then we're in Sam's mind and the music is really dramatic again and Sam's having a nightmare and oh god, it's really sad and dramatic. And then Sam wakes up and Dean's like, morning sunshine, all Deany, like too much Dean.
And I'm already scowling because that's not Dean.
Like Dean to the extreme in a bad way. And it's like the first 5 minutes are a roller coaster.
Yeah.
There's so much happening and none of it makes sense.
None of it fits.
None of it fits. I do like the idea of like Dean to the extreme though. Like it's a sport. Like a radical extreme sport.
Yeah.
Extreme Deaning.
Extreme Deaning? Oh my god.
Can make that a new con competition instead of cast cos. No, we can do cast cosplays too. But when we do the cast cosplays, we also do extreme Deaning where people just come up and do their best/worst impersonation of Dean Winchester.
Oh my god.
I should run.
I would love
I volunteer.
That.
I'm in charge of creation now. Specifically so that I can do this. Make people impersonate Dean.
I'm into it. You have as much funding as I can procure for you.
$2. I get $2.
Cool.
That's all I need. Because I'm gonna pay the winner $2. the best Dean impersonation gets $2 in their pocket. Isn't it great? But I mean, because you don't have to have a great Dean impersonation to get cast and to get cast as him. Clearly,
right. I was just gonna say it wasn't to me in the sense of the word words extreme Deaning. He didn't really put on a good show in my opinion. He was just like super alpha male with a little bit of Dean flavor involved.
Yeah, it was these Dean-ish characteristics.
It's offensive to me, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable for me. There were things about this episode that I really enjoyed just in terms of how weird they were. Dean was not one of them. Dean was not enjoyable to watch. He made me uncomfortable. The replacement of Becky with this female police officer made me uncomfortable because it was purely so that Dean could objectify her more.
Yeah. Normally I want to stick up for the female characters, but she was honestly just an extension of somebody's.
Yeah, and she wasn't like
masturbating hands. There's just no.
She was like Officer Boyd or something like that. I think because Dean asked for somebody and she was like, "You're looking at her," or something cliche like that. And literally she was just there so that Dean could look at her butt. and
Not
it
that
made
deep.
me uncomfortable. And the interactions between Dean and Sam were so awkward too, partly because Jared is such a good actor,
Mm-hmm.
and Sam talked like a real human talks.
Yeah, he was in it. He was slid all the way in. He was like, he was there for the character. And he probably at that point didn't even know what the character looked like when he laid down
No, or what
the
was
vocals.
happening.
Right. So, I mean, he went all for it.
And he did such a good job, and Sam talks like a human being, and he talks like Sam. He's in character. But the conversations between, I think Dean is the only person that Sam talks to the whole episode,
Mm-hmm.
and Dean and the shifter, and Dean is so awkward. Like, I don't know who this voice actor is. I'm sure he's done other stuff that he's been great in. I don't know anything about it. All I know is that this was not, clearly he received bad direction, because he was just like, you really want to get those voice inflections. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And he was not given anything good to work with.
No, he wasn't. I was just going to say that too. It's not really fair. I mean, I don't worry so much about directly offending this person because I don't know them and they're never probably going to see this. But
I have a lot of respect for voice actors, though.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that he is a bad voice actor. I just don't think that beyond getting some of the timbre of Jensen Ackles' voice in certain moments, I was like, okay. But besides that, he didn't really have a lot of material.
And here's the thing about the getting the timbre right, was that it was almost there.
Yeah.
Either just a little bit too much or just a little bit not enough, to where it was so obviously not deep.
There was no Texas twang to it at all. And that's what I missed, I think. I was like,
yeah. And it was so obviously being laid on thick, like being overdone.
Yeah.
And it was so surreal, because if you'd have these conversations where it's like, that Sam, who's this guy? I can't get into this conversation or take in what's happening, because
I don't even know.
Dean is so incorrect.
I don't even know who that guy was.
I don't. It was not Dean. It was, this is not my beautiful house. This is not my beautiful wife.
Exactly.
This is not my beautiful Dean. It was rough. I will say that was the only acting that bothered me. Like, the lady who played this female character was fine. I didn't have anything. I didn't feel.
Oh my God, what's happening?
Why didn't you tell me you have powers, Julia? Don't get me copyrighted.
I don't know what I did.
I don't know what you did either.
Sorry.
You're good. But like, the lady who played the female character was fine. The guy who played the shifter at the beginning of the episode was fine. Like, he was clearly feeling it.
Yeah.
Like, there was effort put into a lot of this. The animation had a lot of effort put into it. Some of the performances had a lot of effort put into it. Jared was putting effort into this. And honestly, the guy who played Dean put effort into it. It was just wrong. Like, it didn't feel right. And I think the only people who are going to care about the animated series are the people who care about the original. Like, it's not, unless you set it up as like a spin-off within its own universe, and it's like its own thing, and these are, maybe it's the same characters, but it's not the same story. They're doing something totally different. This is Japan's thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then you could get like an audience of people who are just into the anime. Like, I could see that being a thing.
I just imagine right now somebody saying, oh, I like Supernatural too. And then you find out later that they're just talking about the anime series. And you're like, so many questions I have for you. But
maybe people are just really into the Supernatural anime. We don't know. We don't know.
You can't go wrong with that kind of writing. I mean,
no. The weird jumpy pacing.
It's all very compelling.
Yeah.
That's for sure. You watch just to find out what the hell is happening.
Yeah, really engaging,
Relatable.
dramatic. The characters are so human, you forget they're fictional.
Yeah.
You almost forget they're animated sometimes because they're just so real.
Lifelike. They got everything, the minutest detail down to the stitching on the jacket and
the quilted leather jacket.
Yeah, because that's something that Dean, I mean, he wouldn't leave anywhere without that. He would have that at all times.
He absolutely cannot leave the house without his quilted leather jacket.
I can't.
And Sam, the superhuman math genius, who needs to be...
That was amazing. I was here for that. I mean, I could watch episodes of just that.
The Avengers need to get in touch with him. He's like Doctor Strange. You eat your heart out.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Winchester is smarter than you. He's more powerful than you. And I mean, it's me. I would say all this anyway. I don't care about Doctor Strange. You're fine. If your voice is getting tired, we can wrap it up. We're probably heading that way anyway.
At the soonest convenience, but I think I'm having a good time.
I think we've said everything that can be said about this particular episode.
Now it's just salt.
Now he ran up from a ditch. He walked.
That's a thing that actually happened.
He walked on his feet from the apartment to the side of the highway and just knew when to come out and not die. That's fascinating.
What a beautiful man.
I adore him. And you know what? He's still my favorite character. That hasn't changed. Both versions of the story. He's still my guy.
I'm going to make a sweeping declaration. Original series, I'm a Dean girl. Anime, I'm Sam all the way. Let's just...
Yeah.
We'll put that out there.
He's smart. Understands that it's inappropriate to flirt with women while they're working. That it's inappropriate to back them against walls, to ask them on dates.
Mm.
Those are his qualities so far.
Yes.
That he knows when to run out of a ditch, and he knows when not to flirt with girls. Those are his two major characters. Those are actually his only qualities right now. But you know what?
He has like a night terrors thing too. That's the only other thing I picked up.
He has nightmares.
Nobody knows why.
That's his other third trait. We don't know why, because
I think we'll figure it out later in the show.
I don't have a because. This is just the way this is the reality as it's presented to me.
Their dad's a dick, though. That's for sure.
We don't know why.
Yeah, we're not sure yet.
But Sam sure wants to find him wherever he is, whyever he's there. So this has been a single man tier. I'm going to try to be more regular with these, but as usual, I make no promises. This is not a professional endeavor. I'm not getting paid. Nobody owns me. This is at my leisure, which is going to my head, as you can tell. So hopefully in the next couple weeks, I'll do another one of these. And I'm probably going to do the entire Supernatural animated series. Maybe not every weekend, but
some of the weekends.
Some of the weekends I'll be watching Supernatural animated series. And Julia, you are absolutely always invited to come join me on this surrealist adventure.
I'll watch a couple ahead just to be sure.
Yeah, just to see if you're willing to invest your time. I understand. I actually asked Scout, if y'all follow Scout CL on Twitter, I asked her, Emmy's gonna come join me eventually. MEC / the Kale Online. She's gonna come join me for this eventually once her schedule clears up. But I had originally also asked Scout because I wanted a group of people who were doing this, and she was like, oh no. She was like, I've watched it. I will not.
You've got to convince her somehow, because that would just be priceless.
She's so funny. I want her on. I want her to do it really bad, but I don't want to push her. Because I was like, I really think you would make this experience so much more fun, and that you'd be really funny, and you would make for some great internet content. And she was like,
as always.
She was like giving me alternative episodes that she could do instead. She was like, what if instead of doing this supernatural anime, I do the fan made version that's actually good? Like, what if I watch the not fun one?
Maybe you could do a contrast episode one day or something, just to appease.
She was like anything but that. So I mean, there's only so much power I have. I get to decide when I do the podcast and nothing else. I have no power. So I cling to what I can. So thank you. I saw a couple people tuned in. I have lost the ability to speak, which is great when you host a podcast.
Yes.
What's really good for podcasting is when you can't talk.
Right. Struggling as usual.
Insider tips. But I saw a couple people I did it again. A couple people tuned in. Thank you for tuning in. And anybody who's watching after, thank you so much for watching. I hope you know what, watch the animated series with us if you haven't. If you have, leave a comment. Tell me what you thought of.
It's glorious in its own way. I mean,
it's an experience.
There's plenty to talk about. Let's just say that. Yeah.
About 45 minutes worth.
Yes.
Of things to talk about. All right. Thank you so much for joining me, Julia. You can follow Julia. I hope I'm getting this right. I'm trying to plug my guests more. But you can follow Julia at Willow__row, ROW, on Twitter. Yes. And you can follow me both on the official A Single Man Tier Twitter, at ASMT Podcast, or on my personal account at KW Shirley, KW_Shirley. I'll figure this out eventually. Thank y'all. Have a good night. I love you.
Bye.
Bye. Don't run into oncoming